Hi, my name is Lindsay. My standard was 4.13 on the TExES standard competency. Today is June 27th, 2023. And my name is Lindsay Smith. So the standard in their words was the beginning teacher knows and understands legal requirements for educators. For example, those related to students with special education, students and families' rights, student discipline, equity, and suspected child abuse. This relates to the end task 9J, and it's important to understand these legal requirements because it affects students with special needs, it affects the rights of students and their families, it affects student discipline, equity, and suspected child abuse. And the stated in task standard is the teacher understands laws related to learners' rights and teachers' responsibilities for educational equity, appropriate education for learners with disabilities, confidentiality, privacy, appropriate treatment for learners, reporting situations related to possible child abuse. And if you look at this standard, the first one, and then you look at the second one, they relate to each other 100%. They talk about equity, they talk about learners with special needs, they talk about confidentiality and privacy, and they also talk about suspected child abuse, and appropriate treatment of learners, I think, is related to discipline. So for my practical example, I was observing in a special education classroom, and I witnessed a student that had to be pulled aside for individualized discipline because he hit another student. And when he was called out in front of his peers, it caused an outburst of emotion, and which would further lead to destruction of the classroom. So when I witnessed this, I witnessed his teacher. We were outside at the playground. He hit another student. The teacher pulled him aside, brought him inside, and his discipline was that he spent time in the quiet corner. And he was a kindergarten student, so he only spent about 4 to 5 minutes in the quiet corner. And after spending time alone, his teacher asked him why he was pulled inside, and he was able to explain in his own words that it was because he had a friend. And then the teacher actually did send him home with a social story about how he needs to keep his hands to himself. And that night, he read the story with his mom. And the next day there was no hitting, so I like to think that it helped. So my mnemonic device is LRFE, which is legal requirements for educators. And then to remember everything that's included in it, it's SNS, RS, DESCA, which is special needs students' rights, student discipline, equity, and suspected child abuse. Thank you so much.